For those of you familiar with my content, you know I would never make a video where I waste my audience's time just rehashing information they could easily go and find elsewhere, which is why in this video I'll be sharing some very interesting information on the topic which, to the best of my knowledge, has never been covered before on YouTube. More specifically, this video will include a tutorial on how you can restore custom site functionality back to the way it used to work before update Dance of Dragons. But first, if you find this information helpful, or you just want to make sure that you're kept in the loop on how to fix whatever game features Gaijin breaks in future updates, please like and subscribe as it really helps out the channel, and let's get straight into it. So, just as a bit of background, before Update Dance of Dragons, there was a button you could press in the Options menu, which would generate a folder for whatever vehicle you were using, and in this folder you could add whatever custom sites you wanted to use for that vehicle. After Dance of Dragons, this option was removed, and you no longer had any way to create these folders, so you were pretty much limited to the ones you had already set up, or at least that's what I thought at the time. When I downloaded Update Firebirds this week, though, I found that the site folder was gone completely, as were all of my custom sites. A normal person might have just taken the L and moved on at this point, but I'm far too persistent for my own good, and spent about 4 hours scouring the forums and Reddit for any way to fix the problem. So strap in and I'll explain to you the ridiculous workaround I figured out while diving into this rabbit hole. The first thing you're going to want to do is to go into your game folder and check to see if your user sites folder is there or not. If you play on Steam, you can do this by right-clicking on the game, then going to Manage, then Browse Local Files. It should be located under the User Missions folder, but if you don't see it there, just create a new folder and name it User Sites, with both words capitalized and no space, just like you see on screen. This will still work. Now, here's the important part. If you're familiar with the old system, you might remember that the vehicle folders all had these kind of odd names to them, which didn't always exactly correspond to the actual name of the vehicle. However, I found there's still a very easy way to generate these folders with their correct names without any need for guesswork or cross-referencing. All you have to do is open up your game, select the vehicle you want to create a custom site folder for, go to Customization, and click this little wand-looking Create a User Skin Sample File button. What you can then do is go into the User Skins folder, take this new folder you just created, move it into the User Sites folder, and then remove the template and underscore from the beginning of the name. Once you do that, all you have to do is remove all the other files from within the folder and add the custom site you want to use. Once you do that, you can go back into your game, go into the Options menu, go to Ground Vehicle Battle Settings, and click on Site Settings, and if we open this up, we should now see the new user site selected. I want to give a quick disclaimer at this point about something I see brought up just about every time this topic is discussed. No, this is not against the terms of service. It is not a hack or a mod. War Thunder Live, the website where you get these custom sites, literally has a Gaijin login page. I don't understand what possesses people to spread this disinformation when they clearly haven't actually read the terms of service, but if Gaijin actually wanted people to stop using these custom sites, they would just turn off their functionality. If somebody tells you this is against the rules, don't listen to them, they don't know what they're talking about. Anyways, next I'll show you how to get these custom sites from War Thunder Live, as well as show off a few of my favorites, but first just two quick notes. First, in the past, you used to be able to press Alt F9 to refresh the site folders while in-game, in case you were adding new files while you had the game open, but when I tried this, it did not work. Maybe it will work for some of you, since sometimes this game can just be weird like that, but just be aware that it may not. Also, if you create a folder within the User Sites folder and name it all_tanks, as you'll see shown on screen, custom sites placed into that folder will appear as options for all vehicles. With that out of the way, let's get on to the weeb shit. This part is pretty simple. All you have to do is go to live.warthunder.com, open the site tab, and you'll get to enjoy all the art this community produces. You can use the search function at the top of the page to try and find ones made for either specific vehicles or ones that have certain attributes, especially if you want historical sites, or you can just go into popular and find some good options there too. Once you've found a site that you like, open it up and hit download. I'll just use this one as my example for no particular reason. Once you download the file, all you have to do is open it up, move the BLK file into whatever custom site folder you want to use it with, and if we go back into the site menu, you'll see your new user site listed as an option. Now that you know how to download these, let's go over my personal favorites. Links to these will all be in the description. The first and most basic is Wojtek885's Enhanced Tank site. This is the site I keep in my All Tanks folder, which is basically my one-to-one replacement for the default. It's very similar to the default site, just with a much clearer site picture. I use it mostly on low-tier vehicles, which I'm trying to spade, but it can be used effectively on pretty much any vehicle at any battle rating. Next is Frontwind's FW6 sight. This is also one I keep in my all tanks folder, and I use it primarily on any vehicle with a laser rangefinder or APFSDS. There are a lot of very similar MBT sights out there which I've tried, but this one is the best of the bunch in my personal opinion. I just find the little open box at the center to be a lot less obstructive and better for target acquisition than the circular ones, which are a lot more common for these types of sights, and the little dot at the center lets you be extremely precise with your shots. The next is a site which is so good that random noobs in various comment sections have actually warned me that I might get banned for using it, which is total bullcrap, by the way. ASN127's Lush Light. This is basically a sort of rangefinder or analog fire control system, in that it allows you to use the sighting distance control to manually range find, just adjust the box until the target fits snugly within it, and then fire. This site will require you to adjust your settings somewhat to make it work though. I'll place those requirements on screen here if you want to pause. Another caveat is that this site does not automatically adjust to account for different shell types, so if you take several different kinds of shells into battle which have different velocities, the site will only properly work for one of them. Even so, I find this site to be incredibly useful due to the fact that it kind of lets you eyeball your range without actually needing to range find. Call it a crutch, but I just find it to be a huge quality of life improvement for vehicles which don't have laser rangefinders. The last thing I wanted to do for you guys today is show you the new site customization menu Gaijin has set up. It still feels incredibly wonky, but I figure it couldn't hurt to at least show you guys what your options are. Just two quick caveats. First is that most of this is just optional. You're welcome to play around with it on your own. I'm just showing you what I like to use personally. And also, again, I strongly suspect they're going to mess around with this thing a lot in the future, so apologies in advance if some of this information becomes out of date relatively quickly. Anyways, the first thing I wanted to go over is that the save button up on the left side, that will save the settings for the specific vehicle, and the save up on the right side creates a preset which you can use for other vehicles. This is extremely unintuitive. I don't like the way this is set up, but for your information, this is how it actually works apparently. In terms of colors, I like to use green for thermal and the normal version, you can see here. Obviously, for night vision, the green doesn't work too well, which is why I have this set to red. I just think it looks much nicer. And I also have red set up as a secondary option for backlighting, you know, just in case for whatever reason in a certain environment the green doesn't look too well, like, you know, snow for example. This part right here, this is the rangefinder obviously. I like having this set to on just because it's a little more easy to see with like the black box behind it as opposed to, you know, just kind of having it near your reticle. Turret right here, this I also like to keep on just because it's kind of useful to have that little reference there so, you know, you don't get disoriented when you're stuck in your turret and maybe whipping yourself around looking for enemies. I just think that's helpful to keep on. FOV, it does this when you turn it on. I just really don't like it, and I don't see any reason to keep it on. It just kind of obstructs your vision, and there's no real reason for it, I guess, other than like immersion. Gun ready, I also keep this on. This will show you like how much time you have left on your reload. Again, just really helpful to have that up on the HUD, so I prefer to keep that on. And then bullet type, I think this is the new one they just added. This will show you what kind of bullets, so APFSDS, APCBC, that sort of thing. There's been a bug recently, and actually I didn't realize until I finished recording, but this popped up in a video I just uploaded, where sometimes even if your first shell selected is like one type of shell, it'll sometimes spawn you with the second shell pre-selected. I don't know why it does this. I don't know if that's fixed. Be aware that might happen, and for that reason I would say keep this on. Anyways, guys, that's going to be all for this one. I hope this information has been helpful to some of you. I know I was extremely frustrated and confused when I found that all of my custom site presets were removed, so hopefully this will allow some of you guys to deal with this problem without having to spend several hours on the forums digging around. If you enjoyed this content, please like and subscribe for more, leave feedback in the comments below, and I'll see you guys in the next one.